Deshmukh sir?
Yes.
Sir, if you can make me also co-host along with Patankar sir, that will be helpful to admit all the participants who will join later.
Yes, I will.
Yeah.
Okay. Now, Dr. Patankar is a host.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir.
And Megha is a co-host.
Yes, thank you.
Hello, Megha.
Good morning, sir.
Good morning. You are from?
Sir, I'm properly from Bangalore, but doing my PhD in Mysore University, working as an
From?
assistant professor in college. Bangalore. My native is Maharashtra, Kolhapur.
Yeah.
Married in Bangalore, working in Bangalore, and doing PhD from Mysore University.
Very good.
So, in the meantime, Megha,
Yes, sir.
I will start the discussion. In the meantime, he will join.
Yes, sir. Yes.
So, I welcome all. And today's topic is probiotics. And today, Ketan Narkhede and Karishma ma'am had joined. But Saili Pathare is from Ready. You are from which place?
Reddy Shweta Harini.
So, is there anyone working on probiotics? Please tell first. Anyone working on probiotics? Dr. Ketan sir, you are working on probiotics. Hello. Hello.
My area of working is not exactly probiotics, but I have only work limited to PG projects. Core area is not the probiotics.
Dr.
Okay.
Deshmukh, I am working on probiotics.
Please introduce.
I am Bogle, you know me.
Okay, Jan Bogle. Okay.
Yeah.
So you are
Sir,
not written your.
Prakash sir
Okay.
has joined.
Yes, Prakash
Yeah,
Halami
Dr. Prakash. Yeah, Dr. Prakash told me he will join.
Correct.
Only I had a talk with him.
So first, I will request Jan Bogle and Prakash Halami to focus 5 minutes on the probiotics, and then there will be. You see, this is a discussion, not lecture. So they will focus. Jan Bogle sir will focus, and Prakash Halami will focus 5 minutes only. And after that, there will be discussion. Okay?
Yes.
So, Megha ma'am, please proceed.
Yes, sir. Sure. Sir, again, Prakash sir got disconnected, I guess.
In the meantime, Dr. Jayant will introduce himself and will focus on the 5 minutes.
Sure, sir. Sure. First of all, good morning, good afternoon to one and all present for today's session. This is yet another very interesting session where we are going to just highlight on the facts of probiotics, which is a very required thing for today's society since we are not so diet conscious. And just to bring about consciousness, not only with respect to diet, but with respect to what is the significance of every component in a diet. Probiotics is included as one of the most important components for a diet. It's also included in the academics and basically in the food and nutritional papers. So today we are just going to highlight on what exactly are these probiotics, what is the research work that is going in and around of probiotics, and how can we bring it into our research area so that to improve our lifestyle and also to improve our health. So first of all, I would like to welcome today's chair speaker, Dr. Prakash Halmani, sir, for the session. We welcome you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Megha.
Yeah, I would also like to welcome Dr. Deshmukh, sir, as well as Dr. Sanjeev, sir, for today's session. And I would like Prakash sir to just take over the session instead of wasting time for my words. It will be better if we start continuing about the topic of probiotics. Over to you, sir.
Okay, good afternoon, everyone. It's very nice that Microbiology Society India has organized this session. I'm very happy to be a part of this.
Good afternoon, sir.
Namaskar to Sanjeev sir, Bhogle
Namaskar.
sir.
Bhogle sir.
And
Good afternoon.
in fact, half an hour back, I spoke with Bhogle sir, and he told he's in the airport and he will be attending the meeting from there. I hope his flight get delayed so that we get more time to interact with him also. So as Megha introduced, that we know that probiotics is a very important component with reference to the health and wellness of the individual. When we talk about the gut microbiota or the early colonization of the bifidobacteria in our gastrointestinal tract, or the immunomodulation, digestion of the food, absorption of the nutrients, synthesis of the nutrients, detoxifying the toxic substances which we otherwise also consume perhaps. And then more important is I think balancing the good and bad bacteria. So probiotic has been defined actually from a long time and being used not only in food but the drug which we have very commonly, VSL3 capsules or the Econorm powder, the Saccharomyces boulardii powder, or a Sporolag Bacillus coagulans. Bhogle sir knows because he is associated with this Unisankyo. And then several products. Right now we have the two important cultures. One is the Lactobacillus casei, Shirotas culture, which is in the Yakult, available in a fermented milk also in India. And we have understood the health benefits of the probiotics. Now India actually has the guidelines how to identify use the probiotics in food. Dr. Ganguly's paper is there in Indian Journal of Medical Microbiology. So these guidelines are developed are led as per the FAO WHO's guidelines on the probiotics. And based on that, we look actually the characterization, the source, screening, taxonomic identification, which is a very important part. And then it's phase-wise, the in vitro studies, followed by preclinical trials and then clinical trials. As far as using the probiotics in food is concerned, as Megha rightly pointed out, we actually look at least that preclinicals are done. And that as per the DBT ICMR guidelines are followed for characterizing those probiotics. So as I told with reference to the commercially available culture, the Lactobacillus casei, Shirota strain, and Lactobacillus damnosus, GG culture, which is in the Europe. Now we know that lactobacilli mostly colonizes in the smaller intestine because of their ability to adhere to the small intestine and tolerate acid and bile stress, which is there. But then as far as the large intestine is concerned, where the pH is towards neutral, anaerobic conditions, so we actually see the bifidobacteria. So bifidobacteria actually is a very important probiotics with reference to the gut homeostasis is concerned, especially the short chain fatty acid production. And that's why in recent past, we have actually directed our work, how we can actually develop the bifidobacteria. Commercial available strain, I hope everyone knows, Bifidobacterium animalis culture. So Bifidobacterium animalis, though it is from the animal origin, but it's very available from the Kron Hansen, and they have actually range of products. It happened actually last year. Kron Hansen had some sort of a conference, and they are actually incorporating this bifidobacteria also in several food products. Right. So dairy product, which is very commonly used as a carrier for supplementation of the probiotic bacteria. The very simple reason because their propagation is easier in the dairy products, mass multiplications. And we consume otherwise also dairy product very commonly. So that is one of this reason. So we will basically talk more here around the probiotics in a food where, as I told, that we don't look as a capsular drug. When we look for a capsular drug as a probiotics, then we go, we look for a clearance, more clinical trials, more rigorous trials, more health benefits, mechanism-based probiotics, I would say. Now, recent past two concepts have been came. I will just conclude by explaining those two things. One is three, I would say. One is, of course, the prebiotics, the non-digestible carbohydrate, or the carbohydrate which is actually exclusively being fermented by the probiotic bacteria. So that is actually very important component with reference to making the probiotic bacteria to grow in a large number in our gastrointestinal tract. And that actually being selectively fermented by the probiotic bacteria. So number one. Second terminology is the postbiotics. Beside the probiotics, other grass status microorganism, their cell-free extract or the cell components also found to induce the immune response. So postbiotic concept is a very important, because whatever we fermented food, suppose this idli is there or the dosa is there, we actually basically steam it or cook it. So during that process, this microorganism actually will be dead, right? So in probiotics, the three things are important: the live cell, their number, and definite health benefits. But in a postbiotic, we don't worry about the live cell survivability of those cultures. So this is what the major difference is. Last terminology I will tell about the zero biotics, which in fact we had organized one national workshop few months back. And zero biotics are actually the probiotics which has been identified or can be identified associated with delaying aging process. Okay. So this actual terminology has been coined 2 years back in 2021. And some of these probiotics, using some specific model, they could see that otherwise also probiotics, as we see, are the yearly mission of work. It is basically a longevity of life. So zero biotics and probiotics are what yearly mission of told, or all the things are in the same line, in other words. Okay. So I look forward to interact with other colleagues, other experts also, and mostly again the question from the students, perhaps from the student community. Okay. So over to you, Megha.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So my question, first of all, is, as you have introduced the terminologies like probiotics, prebiotics, zerobiotics, and postbiotics,
Yeah.
can you tell me, like, if you can just suggest me or advise me role of any enzyme in use of prebiotics? Like, for example, pectinase enzyme, can it be used in the composition or in the formulations for the prebiotics?
Exactly. Now, pectic oligosaccharide has been identified as one emerging prebiotics. So you have the pectin molecule if you want to get the oligosaccharide, right? So we look, no, we should have the pectinase type of enzymes, or like other carbohydrates are there. We actually look for the beta galactosidase, just you can consider, right? Beta galactosidase, you have the lactose or the dairy sugar, So getting with the treatment, beta galactosidase basically hydrolyze the lactose, but then there is a possibility that you get a oligosaccharides, right? So those oligosaccharides has a potential prebiotic activity.
Okay. Okay, sir. Thank you. Now I request the members to raise your questions and start with the discussion.
Hello.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. Allow me, sir.
Yeah.
You have given the very nice information regarding the three different aspects of the probiotics. One thing is there. What is the any prebiotic component which is present in millets?
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Very actually useful question. Can we just have a small interaction with Bhogle sir, Jayant Bhogle
Yeah.
sir, because he told me he will be taking
Yeah,
a break, and then I come back to the millet
Yeah,
subsequently. Yeah,
because you know my interest in the millet. Why?
wonderful, wonderful. Yes, and
So
actually, in
Bogle
fact,
sir
I
is
wanted
there
to
already.
contact you,
Bhogle
Sanjeev
sir.
sir,
Ah,
because there is a call for proposal from DST.
ah.
And that call for proposal is basically to develop a product which will actually be a useful
Ah.
for underprivileged communities.
Yes.
I will
But-
share that advertisement with you.
Sure.
So if your institute or if we can make
Now I am not in the institute, but I have the some results.
yeah, I know.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah. So I can
I know that.
collaborate. I can collaborate with you.
Exactly.
And I'm looking for that.
Exactly.
Because I want to propagate that.
Yes.
Yeah.
Bhogle sir, are you there?
Bogle sir?
Yeah, I'm here.
Yeah, sir. Please.
What time is your flight?
It is delayed.
Oh yeah, that is what even I also expected for the
So
benefit of our viewer.
I don't know. I mean, see, after listening to Dr. Prakash, he has a beautiful insight of what needs to be done from regulatory aspects.
Exactly, sir.
So I'm not very good at it. I'm good at growing probiotics. Okay. I mean, it's a mass scale production where I'm good at. As he was telling the name of Sporlac,
Yes.
I was involved in developing Sporlac from day one.
Mm-hmm.
And it's a spore producing Bacillus coagulans. And if you internationally look at probiotic scenario, it's a different ball game when you want to produce it on a mass scale. I mean, I'm talking of
So your voice is not
so
coming.
my voice is not coming.
Yeah.
Now it's okay.
Yeah, now it is better.
So I'm involved in producing probiotics on a large scale from 1979. So I worked with a person who has first time developed Sporlac tablet. I mean, Bacillus coagulans. It was done at Shankyu by Oki Nakayama, under whom I got training to produce it on a mass scale. And my expertise actually lies in making sporulating probiotics than classical probiotics. So any question, basically students should first understand the basic definition of a probiotic. The WHO defines probiotic as beneficial organism added in adequate number causes host benefit. So there are three aspects one has to look into. What is the beneficial organism? Nowadays, you need to give it with whole genome sequence. The adequacy, which can, as Dr. Prakash has said, this can be established in vitro and in vivo, and his laboratory is doing a great work in that. The adequacy and the host benefit. Say, for example, you need a cholesterol degradation. So you need to give a pattern whether cholesterol degradation is by converting cholesterol to caprestynol or directly degrading the cholesterol. Yeah, now I'm working on reducing anti-nutrients from soya feed by a solid state fermentation using probiotics. So we are knocking off allergens. So we have defined the organism, we have defined the adequacy, we have defined the host benefit. So a probiotic has to essentially meet all these criteria before actually making the use. So I don't know how many students or how many people working in academics has an idea about it. Am I right, Dr. Prakash? Because somebody says probiotics, these people come with an idea of doing something on probiotics and academics without knowing anything about it.
Yeah, exactly. Because I believe that this discussion is also
I don't know. I mean, yeah.
for the benefit
So
of the student, those who
everybody
wants
gets
to
up and
start
says
the work.
that I'm working on probiotics.
Yes. So where they
it's
find
not
the
it's not that
difficulty,
let them first understand what probiotics are.
yeah.
Yeah.
Then how they are
And
looking.
growing probiotics in laboratory and growing it on a mass scale to be delivered in tons is a different ballgame. And if you see the regulatory aspects of it, there is a sea change in last 10-15 years on the quality of probiotics and the acceptance levels of probiotics, especially in Europe and the US.
Exactly.
See, accepting probiotics in a food preparation is still more difficult. In veterinary, it is still more stringent than it is in human.
Exactly, sir.
I mean, there are a lot of reasons behind it, and so that's how I would put it and say that this is what actually happens. So I think with this brief intro, Dr. Prakash, we can open up the discussion with the academic people
Yes, yes,
or
yes.
academicians, be in the position of a faculty or be in the position of a research scientist or a postdoc or a PhD student.
Yes,
And
sir.
now it is open, I believe, with this brief introduction. Am I right, doctor?
Definitely, definitely, sir.
Yeah.
Megha,
So
yes,
now
sir.
anybody has any questions, and if
Yeah. So the
we know
millet
the
question I
answers,
will answer
we
at the
would give.
end.
Yeah.
I will answer the
Yeah.
millet question at the end. Let us now see the other questions.
Yeah. Questions we can take up at the end. Yeah. And we know the answers we would give, because it's not that we know everything in probiotics. We do not know many things than what we know.
Megha here, sir. Welcome, Bhogle, sir. It was really nice listening to your experience of production. So my question to you is, in
Yeah.
academics, we have all the practicals related to wine production and mushroom cultivation. Why can't we have a small
Yeah.
demo practical on how to cultivate probiotics, since this is a very important aspect from a day-to-day life? Why can't we have this kind of workshops or practicals raised in a day-to-day academic practice?
See, basically, do you have an infrastructure?
No, sir.
Number
According
one.
to what? Yeah.
So if you have infrastructure, it can be addressed. There's no problem about it. But if you don't have
Okay.
the infrastructure, don't think of it. Get it from for your research purpose, get it from the people who are actually producing it on a mass scale. There I can help you out.
Oh. Okay.
Yeah,
Okay, sir.
yeah, so basically there are some commercial companies are available which are actually doing the fermentation scale up. We have actually in a CSIR Nimitly project, which actually undertakes any microbial metabolites production, which is actually for the MBSI member. This is actually very useful information. That Nimitly, a facility to scale up a microbial microorganisms for any biomass or metabolite production, which is actually in a
Because
CSIR.
scaling up probiotics is a tricky phenomena. I've done it from 10 liters to 30 kl or so, but every organism behaves different in different volumes. So that's my experience of scaling up fermentations.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Megha, that was the okay answer for you, or
Yes,
you
sir.
wanted
Yes, sir.
more detailed information?
No, sir. No, sir. I'm fine with the answer, because as sir
Mhm.
said, it's very important. I thought, like, being an academician, we have other aspects in practicals, wine production, mushroom. Then in small scale or in lab scale, if we could do this and introduce probiotics, why
Yes.
not this? Because this concept is there not only in industrial biotechnology, but also in the paper of food and nutrition.
Yeah.
Okay.
So
Yeah,
I
yeah.
thought if
Mega,
it's,
1 minute.
yes, sir.
In the light of new education policy, now there is a wide scope for introducing such type of the practicals.
Yes, sir.
Exactly.
Because
Exactly.
there are certain components like vocational skill enhancement
Yes.
thing and other thing. So
Yes, sir.
there the academician should think about this, and these are the areas where the students, their expertise can be developed in future,
Yes,
and
sir.
it will be useful. So
True,
they
sir.
must be, yeah. So there is a wide scope in future for developing such type of the programs.
Yes, sir.
And you can give the practicals also, because there are certain modules and there are certain credits which are given only for the practical purposes. That is the VAC, vocational skill enhancements module is there.
Yes, sir.
So there it is a possibility now.
Okay, okay, sir. Thank you. Sir, we have a question. It's from Linju. Sir, how to store probiotic culture for a short-term process as they get contaminated easily while subculturing in slants? The original morphology gets changed and looks like bacillus colonies. Can you suggest some guidance on subculturing probiotic culture storage?
Exactly. Actually, storage of any bacterial culture or microbial culture is a big challenge. A very simple reason, because of their viability, possibility of getting contaminated with other microflora. As such, with reference to lactics and bacilli is concerned, because of the media which we use is a very nutrient-rich medium. So there, not only this bacteria will grow, but even other, it can actually support the other microorganism also. So one of the very first thing which is needed is that you have a pure culture, you grow that and then you actually harvest and store in a high concentration. Okay, just like what we do is 20, we grow in a 25 ml tube in a MRS broth, and we actually suspend that one in a two-fold MRS, only 1.6 ml, and 400 microliter we add 80% glycerol. So in this case, what happens is that you will be actually storing the culture in a very concentrated form, and that actually is required because if there is a possibility of getting contamination, in the process while subculturing or cultivation, since you will be adding the high biomass, this culture actually will give a very less chances. And then, as the question like, we should actually do not go on subculturing several times. In case of actually Bifidobacter, it was observed that repeated subculturing, bacteria actually loses some of the genes which are actually not needed for the bacteria to grow in a laboratory media. So this actually has been shown in case of Bifidobacterium longum. Repeated subculturing, it actually lost the genes associated with which actually was required to grow the bacteria in a human gastrointestinal conditions. So very simple reason why, because when we use the bacteria, cultivate the bacteria in a laboratory media, so some of the genes, they will not be that functional, right? So that environmental stress will not be there. So just again coming back with reference to the cultivation and maintenance is concerned, that once it is a pure culture, growing in a bulk, storing in a glycerol or in the cryopreservation, storing the bacterial culture or probiotic culture in a this one culture collections center. We have MCMR Pune, NCIM again in Pune, IMTech Chandigarh, right? So this as a general deposit, you can actually store there without any payment, and then that will be actually available, right? Periodically, we should actually check the purity of the cultures. Okay. So I hope this is actually a very important issue of getting contamination, and this is actually happens especially when we actually grow in a large scale also, in a fermenter trial or in a bulk or in a scale up studies, getting a contaminations, so having a good manufacturing practices for all microbiological work, or especially when we are looking the culture for mass production or for the application, having the pure culture and culture with the viability is these are actually two important criteria. And maintaining a viability, another actually very important issue. Most of actually the our cultures are the product which are actually developed in India actually lacks a good viability. Actually, in fact, I was talking with this tablet India, those who made this commercial probiotics and incorporated in the tablet. And one of this employee found to be our PhD student. And he actually told me that the milligram of the probiotic which they will be introducing, which they get from the Europe, is just sufficient to keep the required standard. But if they take perhaps the probiotic product, the probiotic cultures, which are developed, formulated, freeze dried, you need
Dr. Halami, can I interrupt?
exactly. So we need basically in a much more larger amount. So viability problem, just I wanted to tell. Now we will take opinion of Bhogle sir also. Yeah. Yes, sir.
See, contamination is a perennial issue in any fermentation. You can't avoid even if you want to. Right?
Yes,
Are
sir.
you able to hear me? Yeah.
Yeah, we can hear you.
You're audible. You're audible, sir.
And contamination is one such thing which has to be addressed very, very carefully, very specifically, because no fermentation run is 100% sterile 100% times. So, and as Dr. Halami was telling that, frequent subculturing slows down its metabolic activity. So there has to be a very different method or a SOP which varies from organism to organism to maintain that culture in its pure form. There may be in a glycerol stock or whatever it is. And a big company would always have a separate strain maintenance department. And they take care of these aspects. And why I was telling that in academics it is very difficult because there, at a given point of time, 30 or 40 cultures are growing simultaneously and very happily with a beautiful chance of cross contamination. I don't know, correct me, Dr. Prakash, if I'm putting it in
Yes. Exactly. Because once it gets contaminated and then when we will be producing in a bulk, so that means resources goes waste, the time goes waste, and then finally it is actually the not a good sign for the organization, right, sir?
See, I remember the instance when we started making it way back in 82, 83. Our COA used to say that 100 billion per gram, moisture so much, lactic acid producing capacity so much. Today, if you look at COA, it says it should not have pathogens. Yeast and mold content should not be more than 50. Bacillus cereus, what it was 10 raised to 5 in international standards today, it is only 100 per gram. So many regulatory aspects have come in. And then it really becomes difficult to produce on mass scale if your starting culture is not pure.
Exactly. So a pure culture, maintaining a pure culture, authentic culture.
A commercial company would always have a strain maintenance department of its own who are accountable to maintain whatever stocks they have in the purest form. And then there is a series, after every 6 months, you need to revive despite you are storing it at 80 degrees. And then you need to address where you're going to apply. And whether that functionality is retained in the strains which you have selected has to be seen. I don't know, for some of you, it may sound Greek and Latin, but it's a fact. Say, for example, I'll tell you a very small instance. Take Sporlac tablets. So what is being seen in a continuous thing is whether the organism is able to sporulate or not, and the organism is able to produce lactic acid or not. Because there would be, there are bound to be variations in the genetic map of bacteria as you grow it from generations to generations. Am I right, sir?
Yes, sir, exactly.
Yeah. I think we are only talking more. We should get more questions from the participants.
Yeah, that is what actually.
So we have one more question from Nidhi.
Yeah.
How to prepare consortia with probiotic isolates for particular applications?
Do you exactly know what is a consortia?
Nidhi is there, or she just put the question and
no, she is there. She is there in the participants list, sir.
Wonderful.
Nidhi, can you please unmute yourself? Nidhi?
Hello, good morning, sir. This is Nidhi.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sir, yeah, little bit I know about the consortia. That is a combination of two or more microorganisms together which work together. And they may help each other for growth.
Can I get your background?
Yeah, sir. Basically, I am a biotechnologist and right now continue my PhD.
Uh-huh. On probiotics.
Yes.
Oh, that's great. It is a nice question actually you asked. See, normally the consortia are grown after growing all the organisms separately and then taking it to dry form and making a consortia.
Yes.
Yeah. And then the basic thing which you have to see is the compatibility with each other.
Yes,
Suppose
sir.
we are
That's my
adding,
question. How to check the
uh,
compatibility of them?
you grow them against each other, no?
Sir, I have tried a lot, but the
Huh.
problem is so many paper I have read, and those paper told ki we have to go for some type of sequencing to get the number of microorganisms they grow together or not. But that is not possible in my case.
No, you don't need
do all that.
sequencing. You
Just
take
because
one
we have
culture
core
as a
competence.
indicator and another culture you add as a
Yeah.
against that.
No sequence.
No,
Different concept.
I'll tell you a simple thing. Co-culturing you try.
Yeah, co-culturing or otherwise you have
And
a
then see whether they are
selective
happily
media.
growing with each other or not.
Okay, that's it. That I
Yeah,
have
that's
tried.
it. That's it. Don't complicate the things.
Yeah, you can co-culture them and see whether you are getting the proper results or not.
CFU.
You are
Don't go by
expected.
optical. Don't go by optical density. Go by CFU.
Okay, but the problem is the morphology of my two cultures are quite similar. So how would I understood ki
So see, the thing is that you have two pure cultures with you.
hmm,
Grow them separately.
hmm.
Put a positive control and negative control. Co-culture them and see.
Okay.
What morphology you are talking of your cultures?
Sir, morphology on plate on MMRS agar plate,
Mm-hmm.
that is quite similar. The color of the colony, the size and shape of the colony are quite similar.
You can do a CFU.
Yes.
Do CFU then.
Okay.
Nidhi, exactly this type of work we are doing now in our laboratory. We actually want to co-cultivate lactobacilli and bifidobacteria. Both are a probiotics. Okay.
Okay.
So what we have done is we actually no, cultivation is not a problem because both they grow, they don't inhibit each other. They don't inhibit each other. That we have seen by, as Dr. Bogle told, by compatibility test, or you can just see, use one another organism, a freshly grown culture as an indicator, and then you spot the inoculum of another culture. Once you know that, then, yeah, if they are not inhibiting each other, then what we did is we actually look the antibiotic marker. Okay. So which, so that the distinct marker on this both the culture. So when we incorporate or co-cultivate them and then plate it, then we have the specific antibiotic. That antibiotics will allow only one bacteria to grow and not the another one. So accordingly, we enumerate.
Okay. Okay, sir.
Very, very simple. You can always write to us. We will be able to. We'll be happy to help you for this.
Okay.
Kindly don't complicate the issues.
Okay.
Keep it simple and safe.
Yes. There are several probiotics. Actually, multi-strand probiotics are there. You know, the VSL3 is a very commonly available capsule. It has somewhere, I think, 7 lactobacilli and 5 bifidobacteria. So they must have definitely done this kind of test, mixed, grown, fermented, freeze-dried, and such capsules are there. Yeah. Just in my hand also, capsule is there, which I consume very regularly.
Dr. Prakash, we are using consortium of 5 organisms
exactly,
to knock off anti-allergens on a 50-ton per day scale. They're happily doing it.
Yes, yes.
Huh?
So we have to actually ensure that they do not inhibit each other, and then we will be able to enumerate them easily when we mix.
Yeah, very easily.
Yes.
Even you can see the any product each of the organism they are producing and assaying that product also, whether you are getting that product.
Okay. Thank you so much.
That can be done.
Good afternoon, sir.
I request Dr. Jain and Dr. Prakash.
Yes, sir.
Yeah, tell me.
please put your email ID, write your email ID in the chat box so that others will take it down. And if they have any question in their mind,
Dr.
they
Deshmukh,
will ask the
I
question
will not,
via mail.
I
Okay.
will not be able to do because I don't know how I put it in while in the session.
Okay, Dr. Prakash.
Yeah, my already email ID and mobile number is shared.
Okay, Dr. Patankar also.
And moreover, once if we type in the Google also, my complete CV actually appears, which is there actually my full CV with the publications in a CFTRI website also, sir.
Okay,
No,
okay.
Dr. Deshmukh, you will have to share my mail ID.
Okay.
Because anytime I'll have to go off the line now because she's shouting at me to switch off my phone. So once my flight starts moving, I'll go offline.
Dr. Nagrani also has joined. Nagrani, are you working on probiotics? Dr. Sunil is also.
Hello, sir. Thank
Yes.
you. Thank you for connecting with me. Actually, I have worked for a very short time, not on probiotics, but for finding.
So if it is okay for Dr. Jayant, I am sharing his email ID.
Yeah, my email ID, if anybody has, you can share.
Yeah. I hope it is correct one.
I'm not able to see anything. I'm a computer illiterate, my dear.
Oh, I made a small mistake. GM.
No, I'm jayant.bogle@yahoo.com. Or gmbogle@zytex.com.
Zytex, yes. Zytex, I have.
Yeah.
Zytex.
I hope I have answered Deshmukh sir's.
Hello, am I audible?
Yes.
Yes, sir, you are.
Yes. Good afternoon, sir. My name is Boni Dasri. I am a faculty at Bhavans College, Andheri. And I too had a similar question which Ms. Nidhi had asked regarding the co-culturing.
Yeah.
Sir, currently what I'm doing is I'm going to work on plant probiotics. So I was reading through the articles and I had come across this one article by Raja et al. And they said that when you co-culture the two organisms, you can easily determine their compatibility.
How?
But my question is though if the organisms are compatible, if I prepare an inoculum and what I want to do is I want to go for the biopriming of certain seeds. So will there be a change in the count of the organisms that are present? Like, will the lactobacillus be more, pseudomonas be less, or something like that, or will it be equal?
Can I answer your question?
Yes, sir.
If we are working with classical vegetative organisms like Acidophila, Pseudomonas, their stability is less. And if you're trying to grow it in agriculture, where your seeds are very easily kept 40 degrees or so, you really do not know how many would be revived. Are you hearing me?
Sir, actually, I lost
You're
connection.
audible.
I'm sorry, sir.
You're audible, Bogle, sir.
Yeah, audible.
If you're going vegetative organisms, its life is less. They're not stable for more than 6 months with 100% overage. So if you're thinking of making a commercial product for plants out of vegetative cultures, kindly keep away from it.
Oh, okay, sir.
This is my sincere, unasked advice to you. If you want to do it for research, yes, you can do whatever. Yeah.
Okay. So, sir, as you said that they won't last for more than 6 months, right? So, any other thing that can be done, to prolong their life?
Which application you are looking at?
So actually, what I was planning to do is I was going to use those two organisms as a biocontrol agent against a phytopathogen that causes soybean rust. So in that case, I wanted to know whether, like, will there be any change? There is literature that the two organisms can coexist together. But what I wanted to know is, will there be any change in the CFU, and like, will one organism dominate the other?
See, that is what I'm telling, that they are unstable. So if you apply them on feed, you really do not know how you apply. Your method of application, you do not know. What is this initial CFU? What CFU you are expecting to be loaded on seed? Determine all those things first.
Okay, sir.
See, I'm more application specialist than a hardcore researcher. That's the reason I'm able to tell you this thing.
Okay, sir.
You are with Bhavan's college, right?
Yes, sir.
I think you can take down my number. You can meet me sometimes when I am in Andheri or Marod. I'm there at least 3 times in a month.
Okay, sir.
And some of your college students are working with Zytex R&D.
Yes, sir.
Pardon?
Yes, sir. One PhD student who is currently enrolled was previously working with Zytex.
Yeah, that's what I mean. So they know the things better, actually. Or you can meet me when I'm in Marod. Then I can really explicitly explain you the things.
Sure, sir. I will be honored to meet.
Yeah. So sorry, now I have to leave. She's now shouting at me. She'll kick me out if I don't switch off my mobile.
So I hope your question was answered, and then you got an opportunity that you will be interacting with Zaid sir.
Yes, sir.
In fact, I met few faculty from Bhavan's college. I don't remember. Patil, I think Dr. Patil is there.
Yes, sir. Dr. Rajesh Patil is there.
Yes. I am actually in touch with him. We were looking for commercializing some of this probiotics when we had this first microbiology national conference in Nagpur this year in January. So we actually discussed extensively about some of this probiotics, how we can actually launch, So that should not be the big issue. And then, the high media research laboratory is there in Nagpur, and they are
good work. They are doing work. Yeah.
Related to the biocontrol or a probiotics for the plant better health, soil microbiome work.
Already they are developed.
Exactly. So feed, flour, and as a food.
Yeah.
All the spectrum of the different probiotics. So
exactly.
Yes.
And for these, microorganisms will not be used directly as such as a biocontrol. They will be mixed with some carrier materials which keep them stable, right?
Yes,
and they make them be viable for certain time points. So that studies has to be carried out in laboratory first, and then find out what is the colony forming units for that microorganism that you're trying to use as a consortia. As a biocontrol agent.
Actually,
so
what
I have gone through a lot of literatures. There are many literatures where they speak about how do you formulate the biocontrol formulations. So if you want, I can share some papers which I have read through.
Yes, ma'am, that would be helpful. I was looking into that, ma'am, and then I thought alginate and sawdust, these two carriers, I thought that they might be a good option to, prepare the formulation. So alginate is quite common, like most of them do biopriming using alginate. But when it comes to sawdust, I had a few questions in mind. Like when we are talking about sawdust, it comes to wood. So does the type of tree matter? It must be a silly question, but does the type?
Because these carrier materials will not interact with the microorganisms. They will only support the growth of the microorganisms to keep them viable. And they should not interfere in any other such life process of the microorganisms.
I think any other more question is there?
Yes, sir.
Yeah.
So question from me only, Megha.
Yeah.
So we have been using genetic engineering for all the productions and aspects. So can we use this kind of genetic engineering aspect for probiotics also? Because we are listening that it's very difficult to subculture or maintain the probiotic cultures for a longer time. So can we make use of some genetic engineering aspects to make sure that this controversial questions that we are raising very now and then can be solved for?
See, genetically modified probiotics are already available. But as far as the GM is concerned or GMOs are concerned, no, we actually are not allowed for the consumption,
Yes,
right?
sir.
Because
Yes,
of
sir.
the
True.
safety issue.
Yes,
But
sir.
in some practices for a specialized mechanism, genetically modified probiotic, especially for uric acid degradation or kidney stone,
Okay.
for this purpose, they have actually engineered the probiotics and they are actually for academic purpose they have developed.
Okay.
Yeast probiotics are developed for this purpose. Yeast having both the properties, alcohol production as well as malic acid degradation
Yes,
has
sir.
been
Yes, sir.
developed, But then when it comes for a consumption purpose, then it becomes the GMOs, and then that as per
We
our
have some
regulations.
safety regulations for that.
Exactly.
Yes. Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Hmm.
Any more questions, members? You can unmute yourself and raise your questions.
Yeah, or even they can actually type it also in the chat box.
Yeah, you can also type in the chat box and raise your questions.
Sir, can you answer my question now?
Exactly, sir. Yeah, actually, millet, that millets are called as a superfood or dense in nutrients. Number one. Number two is there are actually dietary fiber. Millets are very rich in the dietary fiber. Within that, you will see that barnyard millet has a 12.6% dietary fiber, richest. So most of the millet actually has the dietary fiber ranging from 4 to 12.6%.
Right.
And that actually is exclusively used by the probiotic bacteria for their growth. So one is the dietary fiber, another is the several actually phytochemicals are there. And due to this reason, they phytochemicals or dietary fiber. Actually, I have the list of those compounds where the probiotic bacteria can actually be using phytochemicals, dietary fiber, polyphenols, And these actually molecules are basically helps the probiotic bacteria to grow in a larger number or in a better way. And that's why, consuming a millet is useful.
Always useful.
Because when if we don't consume the probiotics also to some extent, it is okay. If we consume good amount of a dietary fiber or the prebiotics. Why? Because that actually will encourage otherwise also the probiotic bacteria or the good microflora. Exactly, sir. And that's why actually when a baby takes the mother's milk, which has an acetylglucosamine, a specific sugar, that actually promote the growth of a bifidobacteria. So we don't give bifidobacteria to the baby, small newborn baby, but then they take the milk, and that the milk is rich in that specific sugar. That sugar actually helps for the bacteria to grow. So I would actually say that our colon or GI tract actually act as a one good Petri plate. You are right. To selectively allow the bacteria to grow. So it is actually selective medium.
Selective medium.
Selective medium. Actually, no one actually thought to this extent. Because if we take a non-vegetarian food, we will have a more like a staphylococcus or gram-negative bacteria. When we take a vegetarian food, that means we will have more bifidobacteria, lactobacilli.
Exactly.
If we take the dairy product, then yes, like this way. So food actually what we eat matters a lot, because that actually allows the selective enrichment of the good bacteria.
Good bacteria.
And that's why I think beside the probiotics, we have to actually consume a prebiotic also.
Prebiotic also.
Exactly. Very important component. And within that, if we take like a millet, perhaps, so we are actually feeding the bacteria. So I always actually tells in the seminar that whatever we eat, we don't eat for ourselves. We actually feed the bacteria.
Feed the bacteria.
And that bacteria actually, in return, they actually gives the,
in turn of that, they are giving us.
Exactly. So the other things actually I tell with relation to the probiotics, like C. elegans or C. elegans, which actually eat only the E. coli.
Yeah.
So we actually to be a C. elegans for consuming the probiotic bacteria. So that we actually get better nourishment, a more bacteria in our gastrointestinal tract, means the useful bacteria.
And many bacteria also produce vitamins.
Exactly.
Vitamin
So this
B12
is also
and other things.
another
Vitamin
important.
B12, folic
Yes.
acid. And it has been observed that when you take the millet or
Yes, sir.
millet fermented product,
Yes.
there you have the vitamin B12. That is my work. Which I,
wonderful. Yes, yes.
yeah.
Yes.
And that's why I'm very much interested in this area. Millet fermentations with probiotic.
Exactly. Now I have a new project under CSIR Millet Mission Program.
Because that you might be knowing, we have discussed and I have submitted this project, its report to government also long back.
Yeah, because that actually will solve the 2-3 problems. One is the
malnutrition
problem.
Exactly.
The other is utilizing this unutilized material, because now we are more actually customized with eating rice and chapatis.
Yes.
But rice also finally gives the carbohydrate.
Right.
Now wheat has a problem of the gluten number one, and another again is the same thing.
Yeah.
So due to that reason, looking for the millet is a very important concept. Now we have this is the International Year of Millet.
Yeah. So it was, I think I had done this for 12 years back, the millet fermentation with probiotic, and particularly for fortification of tribal food to overcome the micronutrient deficiencies. So that was my project, which was funded by DST, and now I want to collaborate with you.
Very much possible, because now there is a call for proposal from the DST, where they are actually looking for the underprivileged communities. Rich.
So I developed that particular technology for the underprivileged, but unfortunately it has not come up.
Yeah, so it has to be actually done in 2-3 phases.
Hello, Megha.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Now it is a 1 hour fruitful discussion.
Yes,
and all others have enjoyed literally. So, Megha, you can conclude now.
Sure, sir. Sure. So today's session was a very wonderful session, not only making us aware of probiotics, but also making us literally aware of whether probiotics is more important or prebiotic is important, both being two sides of a coin. So it's a really very wonderful session. I would really like to thank Dr. Prakash Halmani, sir, for spending his time on Sunday to acknowledge us with all the aspects of the new terminologies like xerobiotics and subbiotic. Postbiotics.
Yeah.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thank you from all of us.
Yeah.
I would also like to thank Dr. Bhogle, sir, who was, though traveling, was on airport, was continuously complaining of the lady, shouting at him to switch off the call, but still he was so keenly interested in all the entire talk. He couldn't bear himself from stopping. He couldn't stop himself from answering the question. So I would also like to thank him in his absence. Yeah. I would also like to thank Dr. Sanjeev Patankar, sir, who has been a very active participant as well as the person replied for all the questions today. Thank you, Sanjeev, sir. I would also like to thank Dr. Deshmukh, sir, for giving us this opportunity to have a conversation with all the eminent speakers like Dr. Prakash, sir, Dr. Sanjeev Patankar, sir, and Dr. Bhogle, sir. Thank you, Deshmukh, sir. And last but not the least, it's really thankful to all the members who have spared out your time on Sunday and raised your questions and got clarification from the eminent personalities. Thank you, one and all. Thank you, Prakash, sir. Thank you, Sanjeev, sir.
Thank you.
Thank you, sir. It was really a very nice time, and we really got a good knowledge about the concepts. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you.
Sir, can we leave the session, Deshmukh, sir?
Sure. Deshmukh sir is there. Yeah.
Yeah, he is there. Okay, sir, fine. Sanjeev, sir, can we leave the session?
Yeah, no problem.
Sure, sir. Thank you.